we now are recording. Okay, now I'll make a little confession here. I don't have the updated syllabus. Last week was a fairly horrendous week doing registration. It's supposed to be 2 days of registration and then a day for us to get ready to teach, and then first day of class Friday, and it turned into 4 days of registration, okay, and nonstop, basically. And I tend, if I'm canceling a class, which I had to cancel bunches of them, I always call every student in the class, and if I can't call them, then I email them to tell them what their options are and try to get them, because if you cancel the class, some people just get kicked out and you never even know who was in it. So I always try to do that before I cancel. Most people don't. And I was on the phone and, just busy with this stuff nonstop all 4 days. We had in-service Monday and Tuesday through Friday nonstop. All right. Can I get your name?
John.
Jonathan Rice? Okay, good. Okay. Do you go by Jonathan? Sure. Okay. All right. So just missing Sylvester, Cody, and Isaac. Okay. Now, you've not been in one of my classes before, have you?
No.
Okay. Okay. Now, I am recording this class, and it will be in a package called Screencast-O-Matic. And I don't know when I'll manage to get it into Blackboard, but at some point I'll find out how to do that and do it. I used to use Tegrity. They've done away with Tegrity and are using this cheaper model that's a lot more awkward for me, but I've been told that for students there's not a lot of difference. I don't know that that's true, but we'll find out. Okay, this is the syllabus. I was just giving my sad story about why it's not been updated, but hopefully this week sometime I'll try to get it updated. All right, it is not spring 2016, but that's the last time I taught the course, so this is from that. It's going to be fall 2016, and it'll be for first mini-term. My office hours change at second mini-term, and I'll get those corrected when that comes along. Math 227, Cal 3, a 4-hour course. The times aren't quite right, but they're fairly close. We're beginning Monday, Wednesday, 12:15 to 1:55. Okay. Now I did that shuffle because I had the mess. I had a class scheduled for 2 o'clock. That was the linear algebra class. However, it wound up being canceled. And then this morning I heard they were going to open it back again, but it's a mess. But anyway, that's why it's 12:15 to 1:55, because I had a class starting at 2. Now I don't, but we're going to do it on Tuesday, Thursday. So we'll manage that separately. Okay, it is in the A building. This is the A building, Bessemer campus. This is Bessemer campus. Here is my contact information. My name is Charles Fowler. For those who haven't had me before, that's one of you, okay. My email address is cfowler@lawsonstate.edu. And right now I'm probably only about a week behind in emails, but I may catch up sometime before the term's over, but no promises there. The phone number, 929-3449, is good. I'm probably months behind in phone messages because, for instance, last week when I was calling all the students who I was trying to cancel, I'd leave messages for some while I was talking to some other student later in the day. That one would call back, but I couldn't get off the phone with the one because I was right in the middle of changing that student schedule. By the time I got to that one, it had gone to voicemail. It was awful. I don't know when I'll ever get to catch up. So here's my suggestion to you. If you're going to call me, call during my office hours. Now, these aren't correct, but I'll tell you what the correct ones are. Don't call when I'm in class, because when I'm in class, it's going to voicemail, and who knows when I'll hear it. So don't assume that you'll get through. If it's during my office hours and you call and you don't get me, just hang up and call back in 5 or 10 minutes, because I'll probably be back in the office or something. So just to keep from leaving a message that I may or may not ever hear, or any time where I can work on it. My office on the Bessemer campus is in this building, the A building, in room 265. Let me show you where that is on this little map here. We're here in the corner office, I mean the corner classroom here. Go out the door, take an immediate left, go down that little half flight of stairs there, go almost all the way to the end of the hall, but before you get to the stairwell, there's an office door there, 265. It's right there. It's a good sized office. It's quite a mess. Cameron hasn't got to clean it all. So he's going to be my work study, we hope. But it's between the mechanical room and the stairwell on the left, last door, office door on the left, 265. Okay. Again, I'll be there during office hours, but not guaranteed any other. Okay. On the Birmingham campus, I'm in the academic building, which is also called the B building, room 122. Now, if any of you are familiar with the Birmingham campus, I bet you know where Dr. Pruitt's office is. No? Okay. Ask anybody you run into, they can tell you. You know which is the B building? Okay, the B building, that long building on the back part of the quad. Okay? The end of the building toward the gym, the tennis courts, and the baseball field, that's the end of the B building this room's on. On this end is Leon Kennedy Center and the ACAT building. I'm on the opposite end from that. And the very last door, in fact, if you come in that door from baseball fields and tennis courts, that end, come up half a flight of stairs. When you get to that top step, there's a door right there on your left, on your right, and that's B122. It's Dr. Pruitt's office. He has that corner suite there. When you go into the office, you see Miss Rose Saxon's desk right in front of you. Dr. Pruitt is in the corner, big office there. There's a little copy room behind Miss Saxon's desk, and that's where I am. Yeah, a little closet there. But there's a round table. I'm usually there on Fridays. Okay? So, my office hours, now these are incorrect, but I'll give them to you correctly. In fact, some of them aren't far off. Monday, Wednesday, 11:15 to 12:15. That's when this class starts. Cal 2 ends at 11:10. This one begins at 12:15. So 11:15 to 12:15, Monday, Wednesday. And then from 2 till 5:15, Monday, Wednesday. Okay? That will be my office hours on Monday and Wednesday. On Tuesday and Thursday, this is incorrect. Got to reproduce in my head when they are. I have an 8 o'clock class. We've just created a 9:30 class and 11 o'clock class. So it'll be 12:15 to 5:15. And these are all on the Bessemer campus. 12:15 to 5:15 on Tuesday, Thursday. Only as good on the first mini-term. Once the second mini-term begins, it's going to be 12:15 to 3:15. Because I'll pick up the second mini-term physical science class at 3:15. Then on Fridays, Birmingham campus, 7:45 to 11:45 in B122. Now, I say that this Friday, this was so bizarre, they advertised a math position early in the summer, early to midsummer. I kept checking what's the news on the thing. Because last summer, they advertised the position. We screened candidates. We interviewed candidates. We chose our top 3 candidates, sent them to the president, and they didn't hire anybody. Wasted days of our time, days of the interviewees and the applicants' times, and then we didn't hire a soul. Well, then this year they they advertised early, but then they never even set a committee. I kept calling and asking, you set a committee? No, nothing on the committee. Well, they finally set a committee the week we were off. Okay, they supposedly notified us when we weren't here that we were on the committee. And Dr. Pruitt is chair, and he said, look, nobody's here. So anyway, he told me that we would be screening this Friday. Now, just knowing what I know on that, I doubt if we'll start at 7:45. So I may be in the office a little bit to begin with, but at some point, everybody else is going to come to campus, and we'll get started screening. Probably 8:30, 9, something like that, but for the rest of the morning, we'll probably be screening cabinets. I think there's a huge pile that we have to screen through. Okay? So the odds are I won't be in the office much time. I'll be there at 7:45, but only until they start the screening process. Then my guess is the next Friday, we'll probably be interviewing. So who knows when I'll be in my office, and we'll probably start that right around 8 o'clock. So I'll be there probably somewhere. So we'll probably interview a couple of different Fridays. We might do a Tuesday or Thursday afternoon. I know I'm free then. If some of the others are, we might interview then. So we could get it done sooner. But then here's another complication with Friday office hours. Those who've had me in class before probably know this already, but I have a mild form of leukemia, and I have to have chemo. Right now it's once a quarter, just thing to knock the counts down. That's all it is. I don't have any problems with it. But the counts have been slowly climbing, okay? So the doctor has determined that he thinks he ought to go to a new drug, and this new drug has a strange protocol. It requires treatment once a week for the first 8 weeks, then once a month for the next 4 months, and then once a quarter after that. So probably starting in September, I'll probably have 8 Fridays in a row that I'll have treatment. Now, I always ask for treatment afternoon, okay? But the odds are they give me a morning time. I mean, they don't. I ask for something, I don't know if it's random or they just say, throw a dart at it. Nope, he doesn't get it this time. Nope, yeah. I don't know how they do it, but there may be some Fridays I'll be out for that. But hopefully I'll be there some of the time, some Fridays, early anyway. Okay, the course description. We're not supposed to change this, but I'll have to confess to you I did. One little change. When I first wrote the syllabus, and that was many years ago, they may have changed it to this. The way this read on the state thing was, this is the third of T courses. Someone had left off the HR there and put T courses. I know that's supposed to be 3. I wasn't going to do something that, so I put in the HR there. But they probably corrected it now. 3 courses in the basic calculus sequence. Topics include vector functions, functions of 2 or more variables, partial derivatives, including applications, quadrant surfaces, multiple integration, and vector calculus, including Green's theorem, curl and divergence, surface integrals, and Stokes' theorem. Okay? Now, let me give you a hint of where that is in the book. I don't see any books here yet today, so hopefully you'll get them here at some point. Now, first thing it said there is vector functions. Okay? In your book, that's basically chapter 13. Okay? Calculus of vector valued functions. Okay? Functions of 2 or more variables. That's chapter 14. Differentiation of several variables. Okay? Partial derivatives. That's in that same chapter, 14.3, partial derivatives. Quadrant surfaces. Jump back up to 12.6. Okay? A survey of quadrant surfaces. Okay? Multiple integration. That's chapter 15 by that exact title. And vector calculus. And that's basically chapter 17, fundamental theorems of vector analysis. Okay? And then they say, including Green's theorem, curl and divergence, surface integrals, and Stokes' theorem. Where you see 17.1 is Green's theorem, 17.2 is Stokes' theorem, and 17.3 is divergence and curl. Well, they just say divergence theorem. Well, what you're missing there is surface integrals. Well, that was up there in chapter 16. So basically, this course is chapters starting at 12.6, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. That's a lot of chapters for one term. Now, it's complicated by this other thing. Where did y'all leave off in Cal 2? I had some of you this summer And I know this summer it was a Monday, Wednesday course, and we lost Memorial Day and the 4th of July were both on Mondays. So basically we lost 1 week. So we had a 9-week term rather than a 10-week term. That's a tenth of the class we missed. So we didn't get as far as we needed to.
It looks like maybe 10-2 is what we got to do.
Yeah, I know we finished 10-2. We didn't do anything in 11.
What was the chapter title for 11?
It was parametric equations, polar coordinates, and conic sections. So
There
we
was,
didn't do
I
anything.
think there was a couple of them on the test, but I don't know if we went over them.
Okay. So basically what this means is we got to start in chapter 11. And this will be a review for some of you maybe, but we'll try to make it pretty quickly, okay? And then we'll do what we need to in chapter 12, and the real course is supposed to start in 12:6. So guess what? We may not get all of 17 done if we get even started in 17. We'll get started in chapter 11 and go to the rest of the book as far as we can before we run out of time. Guess what? You don't have another course that counts on this anymore, but hopefully I can give you the foundation that if you do need any of the other stuff, you can sort of develop that on your own. If you do need it, we're still here. Come see us. Wherever you transfer to, email, come by. I'll help you as much as we can to get you caught up if you find yourself deficient on something. Generally, there's not much of that upper chapter stuff that I find you ever use. Maybe in your major you might wind up doing it some, but if so, let us know and we'll help. We'll do whatever we can to help get you up to speed. We'll start in chapter 11 and then go as quickly as we can without skipping over stuff. But you think we didn't get much at all. Just see where I left off. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think
we had like 2 bonus questions on our chapter.
Yeah, and
11.
those are both chapter 11.
Yeah.
And you're right. I see where my paper left off. We didn't get much beyond 10-2. So we'll start in chapter 11, which is going to change quite a bit of what follows here. Okay? But if we don't get all that covered, hopefully I'll give you enough that you can do most of it on your own. Prerequisite, Math 126, obviously Cal 2. Co-requisite, 9. Textbook is this one. Calculus, early transcendentals. They say calculus here, early transcendentals there. John Rogowski, I need to add, and Colin Adams. He's been added to this edition. He wasn't on the second edition. I forgot to change it. In fact, I haven't taught this since we were using second edition. Now it's third edition. So I'll get that changed. I think the edition is 2015 now. I'll get that changed. And please bring the book, Graphing Calculator. Not absolutely required, but pretty handy to have. Paper, graph paper, pencils. We'll be doing lots of things in class and otherwise. So bring those to class. Yeah, one of you hasn't heard. Okay. Let me go over this pretty quickly. I do not like this topic. This section they have here, but they won't let us change these. It's out of date, and I apologize for that. But they told us, do not change the Blackboard section. Okay. All Assistant Community College students must be trained in Blackboard and use Blackboard daily to gain access to vital course information such as the syllabus. And I know you will read the syllabus every day, won't you? Sundays and Saturdays included. Every day you'll want to read that syllabus. No, I'm just kidding. A bit overstated, I think. But it is important. I don't want to diminish it too much, but I will put the syllabus out there. Obviously, it's not been updated. I will update it, then put it out there. Handouts. Generally, if I have a handout for you, I will hand them out to you. Okay, so I don't put handouts on Blackboard. I will put PowerPoint there. Now, it seems like, and maybe this has been changed, one of these sections is extraordinarily long. I think it's chapter 14 is a long, long chapter. And it seems like the last time I tried to upload this PowerPoint, it would not let me because Blackboard would not accept a file that big. And so I may not get that one up there, but the rest of them I will. And this is the new edition, so maybe it's going to be a little more efficiently stored, so maybe I will be able to get it. I don't know. Well, I will put the PowerPoint shows there. And by the way, on Blackboard, I only know the instructor side of it, but I think it's pretty similar to the student side. When you go to this course in Blackboard, that home screen has a series of tabs in the upper left corner. And I don't remember, I think home is the first one, there may be something else. Somewhere in the first couple or three there is one that says content. Okay, that's where I will put your syllabus. That's where I will put your research paper instructions, which we're going to do next. That's where I'll put my locator card. Once I figure out what my schedule is and get that on there, I'll put the locator card there. That's where I'll put the PowerPoint shows. Now, they'll be static. They'll just be there. You can look at them. You can print them. You can do whatever you want to with them. Okay? But they will be there. I will also put under content any links that students have given me, you know, of sources or of places they found useful. So far, I don't think I have many for this course, but if I have any, I'll put them there. Okay? If I get any, I'll put them there. Sometimes the school will put activities on Blackboard. I usually don't, but if they're there, there. I will put your research paper assignments. Not there yet, but I will put it. I've got to update that just a little bit. Announcements, usually the school puts announcements there. Most of the time I don't, but if one comes up, I will put it there. And grades. As soon as you turn in work, I'm going to try to, since now on Monday and Wednesday I don't have any class scheduled the rest of the afternoon, I'll try to get your things graded, hopefully same day. Okay? Later in the term, especially when we get into the mini-term, things will get a little more backed up. But this class, I should be able to get them out there pretty soon. Once we start advising and registering students for spring term, that's when I'm going to get probably a little behind there. So I may be Fridays catching up on grading them. Okay? I do not like this next sentence. Failure to use Blackboard could severely damage your ability to pass the course. In my mind, that's such a negative statement. I would, if I were allowed to rewrite it, I'd say the proper use of Blackboard could greatly enhance your ability to do well in the course. It's more positive and I think maybe closer to the truth. Now this one is totally ridiculous. They put this in there and then within a year or two they did away with schedule books, but they never took the sentence out of there. See, the schedule book, we don't have one. Inside cover, there's not one to determine when you can attend training. If you need training in Blackboard, see me and I'll find someone or some place where they give that training. Okay? And I don't particularly care for the last sentence either. Students should always check Blackboard announcement page prior to coming to class. Why would that be necessary or recommended or suggested? In case class was canceled. Now, all but one of you have been in my classes before. How many classes do I usually cancel?
I think only once out of all classes.
Yes, I try never to. And if I have to, if I know about it ahead of time, I'm going to let you know well ahead of time. I'll probably put it on Blackboard, but it's not going to come as a surprise. I just don't randomly cancel classes or say I don't feel like teaching today or something like that. If I can be here, I'm going to be here. Okay? If I get really deathly ill or something like that, I'm probably not going to say, oh, bring me a computer, I need to put it on Blackboard. No, yeah. So, come on in. What you got? What's the name? Nigel Williams. I saw you on the stick. I will mark you credit. What do you go by? Nigel. Okay, great. All right, now we're just missing Sylvester, McCrew, and Cody Dan. Cody Short. I know who Cody is. He's transient student, but I think UAB. So hopefully he will get here. Okay. And Sylvester McCrew, I know I've had him in a class. I don't know if he ever completed one or even showed up. I know the name is familiar with. All right. So in other words, I don't care for that last sentence either because I'm going to try never. Can't say never, but I'm going to try never to cancel the class. Okay? Now, if they say you have to interview candidates for the position on a Monday afternoon on the Birmingham campus or Wednesday, I might have to, but they're going to have to make me do it. Okay, here's the course student learning outcomes. We're actually going to back up a little bit from here, but this is the standard. Students will graph and classify quadratic surfaces. Okay? That's 12.6, by the way. Students will work with and perform calculus operations on vector functions, compute arc length, speed, curvature, and describe motion in 3-space. That's basically chapter 13. Students will work with functions of several variables, compute limits, and take partial derivatives, applying them to tangent planes, gradients, directional derivatives, and the chain rule. That's chapter 14. Students will perform multiple integration techniques and apply them. Chapter 15. Let's say integration, okay. Students will perform line and surface integrals. I don't know if that's the best. Solves line and surface integrals, applying them to Green's theorem, Stokes theorem, and divergence theorem. That's chapters 16 and 17. Okay? And students will research and write on a topic in calculus. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Here are the core competencies that match pretty much exactly what those student learning outcomes were. As I said, 12, 6, and 13 are quadratic surfaces and vector valued functions. That'll be assessed by a test. Now, prior to doing that, because I polled the students that are in here, and they said, I know in summer, when we lost a week of class because of 2 holidays being on Mondays, we did not get chapter 11 done except just in a surface type way. So we'll start with chapter 11 and do 11 quickly, and then 12, and then move on through the rest of that. So you'll probably have 2 chapters before this. 12.6 will be in 12 then, not with 13, and then from then on. Obviously, we won't have a chance to finish all these, but we'll do as much as we can. But 13 is vector calculus, 14 is, goes on down. Okay. Now, I can guarantee you, I think, with great confidence, we will not have a comprehensive final exam. Whatever our last test we do, that will be the final test, final exam. So there will not be a comprehensive. I'll take that word out when I do the thing. But you see, as in all of math, everything you've done before builds in what you're doing next. So in a sense, it will be somewhat comprehensive, but not in the traditional sense. All right, how will I evaluate this? The research paper is required for the course. It will count as a test grade, and that test grade cannot be dropped, okay? Chapter test will be given at the end of each chapter, and the lowest chapter test may be dropped. So not the last one, whatever the last one is, but the ones in between, the lowest test score may be dropped if it helps your average, okay? And then I'll take out the word comprehensive. The final exam also cannot be dropped. Whatever that last test is, no matter if you made A's on all the rest of them, don't even bother to ask, the final is required, okay? Whatever that last test is, that will be required, okay? So you keep the paper, keep the last test, and be able to drop one in between. Then the rest of it is as normal. See if we can get attendance on here. I'm not going to go back to it. Students are expected to attend all classes for which they're registered. If you're unable to attend regularly, there's a good chance you're not going to be able to meet all the student learning outcomes. Therefore, you're probably not going to get as good a grade in the course. Rather than transfer a lousy grade in Cal 3 to, I'm guessing some of you are going to engineering schools, right? Okay. Engineering schools typically are pretty tough to get into. Have pretty high criteria. You don't want to really have a really lousy grade in calculus. Doesn't speak well to your ability to do well in that. So rather than come out with a lousy grade, consider, rather than poor attendance leading to a lousy grade, consider withdrawing. Not pushing it, but I'm just saying it's reality, okay? However, you have to realize that withdrawal from a class could affect financial aid too. So you have to balance all these things. What it comes down to, come to class, do well, get a good grade, transfer, okay? Make long story short. Now, this next thing, we have to put it in here, but when you have take-home work, take-home test, what do we mean by make-up work, okay? Basically, try to have your work turned in within a week of when I assign it, okay? Generally, you're going to take longer than that. That's fine. Just don't try not to have a previous test out when you already got another test, okay? Try to avoid that kind of a situation, okay? Remember, you can drop one test, not counting the research paper and not counting the last test, okay? All classes, except today, hopefully all classes will begin promptly. Now, after today, I've changed my schedule. So far today, I've taught, this is my fourth class, okay? 8, 9:30, 11, and 12:15, okay? It's been a pretty packed day. I've moved the 11 o'clock to Tuesday, Thursday, so that's going to free up things a little bit. But I'm going to be trying to grab lunch in between 11:15 when I get out of my Cal 2 class and 12:15 when this one starts. So if I get pinned in my office by a telephone call or somebody coming by, I might be a little late getting here, but I'm going to try not to have that happen. So you try to get here as well. I'm going to do my best to start at 12:15 every day. Okay? Statement on discrimination and harassment. All but one of you have been in my class before. I've been over this. They haven't changed the wording on this, but let me just summarize this by something that's repeated. It's not tolerated. It is never tolerated. Okay? You get the idea? Now, what we ask of you is if you see or even sense that there's any discrimination or harassment or bullying, whatever you want to call it, going on, please let us know. Please. Because we want to stop it. We want to nip it in the proverbial bud. We're fair about it, but we're quick about it. We don't want this kind of stuff happening on our campus, okay? Either campus. And frankly, I've been here, I think this is starting my 19th year in the teaching in this building, and so far I've seen almost none. Probably the closest I saw, and it really doesn't fit under discrimination or harassment, just stupidity. There was a kid, fresh out of high school, pretty obvious he was in here just because his parents made him come or something. I don't know. You could tell he wasn't really into it. He was in a career technical program, not an academic program, but still he wasn't doing anything there. He decided one day during lunch just to walk across people's cars in the parking lot. And somebody saw him. They yanked him right out of there into the dean's office, and no one seen him. No, I mean, it's not that they did away with him, but he was off campus and hasn't been back, as far as I know, ever again. Not that he couldn't if he grew up, but he hasn't chosen. So yeah, it was like that. He was gone. Okay. We are fair about it, but we do try to keep those kinds of things from happening. Okay? Americans with Disability, this is similar only in the sense that it's also federal law. I mean, it's the law, but it's not just the law, it's what's right. Okay? Already today, my first class this morning, a student at the end of the class handed me an accommodations letter. I don't know what his issue is. I don't even care what his issue is. But he needs a little more time on test or whatever it is that he needed, he's going to get it. Because we want to make sure everyone has the opportunity to do as well as they can with whatever disability they might have. We don't want that to get in the way of their learning. Now, with take-home tests, paper assigned right now, I mean, I don't know what else could be done, but if there is anything, we'll do it, okay? Now, you are responsible, if you do have a disability, let us know. We cannot assume, even if I see you back there squinting like crazy to see the board, I can't assume you have a vision problem. Because if I do, now I've discriminated against you. Because you may not have one, you may just normally squint. I don't know. But you say, I can't do that. You have to let us know. Bring your accommodation paperwork to Miss Dr. Renee Herndon on this campus. And I don't know if it's still Miss Falana Suggs on the other campus. I thought I heard someone say she had moved either to a different job or a different position or something. Well, I'll find out if there's a different name there. And even if you do all that, and if someone rules against you, if you feel like you've not been given a fair shake, we'll help you. Write us up if you need to. Grievance procedure will help you with that as well. Okay? Any questions on ADA? All right. This obviously is not correct. This is from last spring. I will get this updated for basically it's the college calendar for when we're in class, when we're not, when we have holidays, when we're, whatever's going on. I'll get that updated. And then there'll be a student acknowledgement page that you've read the syllabus. Now, this is after I get it on Blackboard. Then you'll have access to this. I'll let you know when that happens. Then you can either print this page, sign it, print it, sign and date, or you can actually enter the stuff, extract the page, and email it to me. That would be fine too. Any questions on the syllabus? All right. I'm sort of running out of juice, folks, because I was here, I think, about 7:15 or so this morning, and I think I was in the office 5 minutes. That's about all. No lunch, no anything. So in between class, I took 2 really big swigs of water, but I'm sort of dehydrated. But anyway, I'll make it to the end. All right, that's it. If there's no questions on the syllabus, let's talk about the research paper. Okay? Now, this is not intended to be a big onerous thing, but the main purpose of it is to get you out of the book, kind of into the real world, to make a link between what we're doing and what you're going to need. Okay? Now, that's my general view of it. You can treat it however you want to. You get to choose a topic. I'm not assigning you any topics. You get to choose a topic within the scope of the course. And I already named a bunch of names here. If you go through and look at this, you'll see several of these section titles, and within the sections there's various theorems and stuff like this. Here's section 13.6. Planetary motion according to Kepler and Newton. Okay? Well, there's several paper topics right there. Who in the world was Kepler? Who in the world was Newton? What did they have to do with calculus? Well, guess what? Newton invented the thing, okay? Kepler did an incredible job of empirically predicting or modeling the motion of planets, but he couldn't tell why that model worked. He just knew it did because it was an empirical model. Newton provided the theory. But in order to provide the theory of telling why it worked, he had to develop a whole new mathematical language that was calculus. Okay? So it's pretty interesting. So the people, the theory, or the application. Basically, just by anything you look at in here, you can find those 3 areas that you could write a potential paper topic on. Just picking up a few more, just looking at names. I've already mentioned Green's theorem, Stokes' theorem. Well, who in the world was Green? Who in the world was Stokes? Or how did they develop this theorem? Or how are these theorems used? Or the divergence theorem, or the curl theorem, or any of these others, okay? There's tons of possibility here. And those are just the people and the theories, okay? Applications, I really love those kind. I'm guessing most of you pre-engineering, okay? Different kinds of engineering. Computer science. No, second. Just pre-engineering. Haven't specified. Electrical, mechanical. Oh, math. If you're a math major, all right. Civil. Mechanical. Right. Okay. How is any of this stuff? And let's just take one for instance. Stokes' theorem. I'm almost certain there's some, probably civil, almost absolutely certain there's probably some mechanical application of it. Can't remember if there's any electrical or not, or computer science or just pure math. But pure math, it's all yours. Okay. Curl and divergence. I know math is going to eat that kind of stuff up. So there's, I bet you, and not just those, but any of this stuff, you probably will find some application for your particular major. So if that's what you want to do, an application type paper on how is this used in what I'm doing or I'm going to do. Those are great papers, okay? Really like to see you make those connections. Any other subtopic about which you have an interest. It may not have anything to do with your major. You may be interested in black holes or something like that, and you want to find maybe the divergence theorem really applies to black holes really neatly. I'm just making this up. Then that could be a paper topic, okay? Now here's another one. Or it can be an internet application or demonstration that you find useful in the class. So let's say there's something we're talking about. Let's say quadratic surfaces. And you say, boy, I didn't understand a word of what he said, and the book made it even worse, or it was just slightly better, or something like this. How do I find out something? You might go online and find a Khan Academy or some type of place out there that just does a tremendous job of explaining quadratic surfaces. And you say, why didn't they say that? Okay? Guess what? You can write your paper on that. What you were missing or not making a connection on, that could be a paragraph. Where you looked to find sources, and you went to several different places, you found this one that was best, that could be a paragraph. You could then say what you liked about that. Boy, the illustration, the demonstration, the application they did, something like this, it made it so clear, you probably got a page or page and a half right there, okay? Maybe a little bit of a conclusion, you've got enough for a paper there. That could be just on an internet application demonstration that you find useful to class. And guess what? You turn that into me, I will then put it out there and try to post it every time I teach this course so others can take advantage of your discovery and your find. Okay, what I'd like you to do either this week or next is write your name on a piece of paper. That's not too hard, is it? And then write your paper topic. So what I mean is for you to start thinking about this, something you'd like to write on. Okay? Now, you're perfectly fine to change this a dozen times before the end of the term, but please don't do too much changes and never get anything done. Try to hone in as soon as you can. Okay? Now, since you're going to waste a whole piece of paper with just a name and a paper topic, here's something else that has nothing to do with the research paper at all. But if you want to write this on the piece of paper, you certainly can. I'll give you the background first. I said that last week I was spent a lot of time on the phone trying to call students whose courses have been canceled. Well, I'd say about once every course or so, I'd have at least one student who, sorry, this number has been disconnected. Sorry, this service provider is not available. Yeah, there was just, something I could not get through. I'd call the records office, and sometimes they could give me an alternative number, and sometimes that would work. Sometimes no number worked. Had no way to get in touch with them except by email. And I didn't know if the student ever even checked email before the term began, so I couldn't know if I was up. So sometimes that does happen, and an emergency call comes in. And they try the number on the system and can't get anyone. They look it up and see they're in my class, you're in my class, and then they say, this says in your class, do you have any way of getting in touch with them? So that's the only time probably I'll ever use this number if some emergency has arisen and someone's trying to reach you and can't get you any other way, and they have to be affiliated with the college. Won't give it to anyone out on the street or even another student. It has to be someone affiliated with the college who desperately is trying to get in touch with you. And you've given me this number, and I take that as your implicit permission for me to give it to someone here at the college, not to anyone else. So that's why I'd ask for it. Only if you want to give it to me. If you don't need to. Okay? Now, my guess is that for most of you, your very best number is probably going to be that cell phone, right? And that is a good thing, perfectly fine. But it conceivably could happen that you might change providers sometime in the middle of the term and we not be able to get in touch with you there, or you left it at home, or the battery died, or you got run over by a truck, or you lost it, or something like that. Several things could have happened to the cell phone. So if you want to give me, you don't have to, but if you want to give me a good backup number as well, like Mom's landline or something like that, I will take that. I don't care. I'm probably not ever going to use it, but if you want to give it to me in case there is that emergency, or if, and this happens for some of you, I know, in one of my classes, I have a student who works as close to full-time as he can and just squeezes his classes in whenever he can between that. So the odds are, if someone's looking for him, he's not going, maybe he can't use his cell phone at work. Some jobs don't allow that. Or Mom's number is not going to do him any good. But if the work number, if you can take a message or have a phone call come in at work for you, especially in an emergency situation, and you want to give me that work number, I'll take that. I can't imagine why I would need more than 3. You can give me no numbers, no problem. 1, 2, or 3, I don't care. If you want to give me any or none, you certainly can, since you're getting in that piece of paper. That's completely up to you. All right, let's get back to this. You'll need to find at least 1, but 2 or more are better, outside sources for your paper. Now, what do we mean by outside source? That can be a book, a journal, a magazine, a newspaper, something that you get out of the library, anything that you can find in the library, or, and this is a real iffy one here, any legitimate, let's highlight that word, legitimate source found on the internet. I usually tell most of my classes this little thing, so some of you have heard this, but I'll say it again. Probably the most incredible thing that has been developed during my lifetime has been the internet. I mean, the space program, that's pretty incredible, and the some of the cures and drugs and stuff for diseases, they've been really incredible. Boy, by and large, is there anything that's much more incredible than the internet? 2 major problems there. Number 1, I'm more and more convinced at least half of the stuff on the internet, probably more than half, is total garbage. Okay? Unfortunately, that's the case. The second problem to that is sometimes we don't know which half it is. Okay? So be very careful on stuff on the internet. Make sure it's legitimate, that it's documented, that it's research, what do they call it? They have a name for it. The material has gone through several reviews and my wife is one of these, and I can't even remember what you call them. I want to say judge, that's not it, but it's been through reviews. Yeah, reviewer, been through reviews. Okay. By the way, this textbook, like I suggested to you, is full of ideas for your paper, but it can't be a source for your paper. There's some nice historical blurbs in here and pretty good descriptions of things. This cannot be a source. It can be a source of ideas, but your source for the paper needs to come from the library or possibly the internet, not from the text. I don't want to find a paragraph that you just pulled out of the text. Your paper must be at least 1 word process page of text. Page of text. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I mean, you can do whatever format you like. I've seen a lot of different ones, and quite often students will have some type of a header up here in this corner, maybe over there too, and then a few spaces and stuff, and then you get a title here, maybe a triple space here, and then somewhere down here on the page you start typing your text. So what's 1 page of text? That's going to go to the bottom of this page, and then back up to the top of that page until you get at least that far on the second page. That's 1 page of text. Because I've seen all kinds of monkeying around with things that, you just get a little bit of writing in the middle, but it looks like it takes up a whole page. That's what I mean by a page of text. Okay? Now, it can be double spaced. This is single space. You can double space. That's fine. I prefer it that way. Easier for me to read and mark and stuff like that. So, double space. Okay? And a standard font. 12 or 10, 12 pitch or 12 point. I never can figure out which is which there. Font. This, I think, is 12. But I don't want any 26 or 3 words fill a page and you say I'm through. No, that's not going to work either. Okay? So 12 is the font. Okay. Now, what font you use is completely up to you as long as I can read it. I don't read hieroglyphics. I don't read Old English. I don't read Cyrillic or Greek or any of those. Make it something. Of course, you would do that. Times New Roman is just what most of the packages default. This happens to be an Arial. Courier is fine. There's tons and tons and tons of really pretty, nice, readable fonts. Choose one. Don't get real fancy with it or absurd with it. Okay. Try to keep the paper less than 2 pages. Like I said, this isn't designed to be really a major research undertaking. It's just to get you out of the book into the real world, but just to be skimming the top of the iceberg, basically. Get you out there, get you interested in it. You can pursue the depth later if you want to. Now, if you're too short, you will lose points. There is no penalty for being too long, longer than 2 papers, okay? However, let me explain to you how I grade your papers. You turn it in to me, it's a 100-point paper. But then I start reading it, okay? And then as I read, if I find errors, you start losing points. That's how I grade. Maybe it's not a good rubric or something like this. That's just how I do it. It's nice, easy, straightforward. Okay. You do me a good, clean, well-researched, well-prepared paper, you're going to get a good score. No matter how short or long it is, as long as it's longer than between 1 and 2 pages, at least that, no shorter than that, then it's going to be fine. But you just throw some stuff out there with no proofreading, no spell checking, no grammar checking, no any kind of checking, and just throw garbage out there and think, well, I'll just give him 5 pages and he'll be impressed with it and give me a good score. No, as I read, you start losing points. And the sloppier and messier and more careless it is, you're losing more and more points as you go. So 5 pages of garbage is actually going to come out a lower score than 2 pages of garbage, okay? No, I shouldn't say it that way, should I? That's so negative. I feel like I've written it. No. Okay, that's what I mean. No direct penalty for it being longer than 2 pages unless you're just really sloppy with it. Then it may penalize you. Okay, you may use any standard format for your paper. Most of our English classes teach MLA, Modern Language Association formatting. That's perfectly fine with me. A lot of science organizations have defaulted to the APA, American Psychological Association format. Came up with this many years ago, and it was really a nice, clean, easy, simple format, and a lot of people have adopted it. That's fine, but different journals, different publications, different professional organizations sometimes will have their own format. You choose the one you like or familiar with, go for it, just be consistent. That's the main thing. For instance, if you start blocking your paragraphs, block all your paragraphs. I don't know how many papers I see. It's not a large percentage, but it's almost a couple of every term, it seems like. There'll be block, indent, block. Sometimes the indent will go to here, sometimes it will go to there. It's just sloppy, okay? It's not consistent, okay? Other things, like the sources. I've seen people, the first source here they get to, they put parentheses, author's last name, comma, year of publication. That's the way they cite it, okay? But down here, they'll have the citation, and they will put parentheses, title of the article, comma, page number, close it. There's no consistency there. I think I know what happened, this source that they used up here, that source used a certain format, and they just copied the format that source used for its sources. But then when they got down here, they were using a different source, and they may have used a different format, which is fine for them as long as they're different papers, and they used the format that paper did. But they weren't being consistent. You pick your format, and you make all your citations, no matter what their formats were, according to your format. Okay? Spelling, grammar, sentence structure, all those typically English type stuff, they'll lose you points if you are sloppy with it. You're producing a product for a customer, a client, okay? You don't want it illiterate sounding, okay? You want to make it good. So you'll lose points that way. But also, and by the way then, that's why you should always use spell check, always use grammar check, and use good proofreading technique. Okay, and there's lots of things you can read and find out about good proofreading, but do it. Just leave it alone. We'll say this. My high school English teacher, I had her junior and senior year, I don't remember, a small high school. Really good teacher. She had this saying, I'll try to use some of her same words. She said, when you do a paper describing like this, like a research paper or something like this, or a major kind of paper for class, she said, do it and set it down, and she used this term, let it rest. It's not tired, I'm tired, no. She said, let it rest, okay? And what she meant by that, she then said, pick it up a couple of days later and read it, and here's her other term, with fresh eyes. Because guess what? If you consider proofreading, you type along, read it, type along, read it, type along, read it. That's not proofreading. Okay? Because guess what you're doing? You know what you're trying to say, and you're just scanning it kind of quickly. You're reading what you want it to say. Okay? There's all sorts of these little teasers that they do sometimes and put something out there, and you know what it's saying, but you won't notice it said in the twice, because you said catcher in the rye. You just read it that way without noticing they wrote some of those words twice. Okay? Letting it rest and reading it with fresh eyes or fresh coat or something, then you will see that, wait a minute, what did I mean by that? Did I leave something out? Where was I going with this? I've done that, okay? I've done it on emails, What? What was I saying? You've probably done it on text messages too, haven't you? I said, what? Who wrote that, So, that's what I mean by good proofreading, okay? Get it done, let it rest, read it again with fresh eyes. Guess what? If you don't know what you meant a few days later, I probably won't either, okay? Now, content also matters. I've been focusing on the structural end, but content also matters. I'll just give you a couple of dumb examples there, too. I don't know how many papers I've gotten on Isaac Newton. I feel like I could write his biography now, but I enjoy reading them. They're good. But let's just say him or somebody else, doesn't matter, Stokes, Green, or whoever. Paper someone giving, when they first mention them, they happen to put, you don't have to, they put parentheses, year of birth, comma, year of death. But then over here on page 2, they had him dying on a different year than he did on page 1. What happened there? That was one long sickness, or how did he get over that, or whatever, So that's just a dumb example. Another one, someone who was a 1492, you typed it as, or someone typed it as 1942. Guess what? Probably will pick up on that. That's not quite right. I think we didn't know that then, or we knew it long before then. So those are just Pythagorean theorem. In my lower level classes, I've had a lot of papers on that. I have a lot of papers, not that many, but a small percentage, but several papers who give it to me totally wrong. They have the hypotenuse added to the leg and given you the okay. So content does matter. Check for if you have inconsistencies. Most of the time, I will find them. I'll know enough about the subject to say, I don't think that's right. And I'll even look it up in case I need to. But I don't make a point of it. But now, let's get to this part. The paper is technically due the last day of class before final examination week starts. Not the day of finals, last day of class. That's when it's technically due. Please do not wait till then to work on your paper, okay? Highly recommend you do it as early in the term as possible. Guess what? You'll never have more time to work on this paper than you do right now, okay? How many of you have tests or quiz scheduled so far this term? You have a paper. Yeah, you were in another course of mine, okay? But you're going to have more, I promise you, okay? So get started early. That's why I want you to look for a paper topic today, or this week or next, so you can start the process, okay? Said all that. You will lose points if the paper is submitted after the last day of class, okay? If I get it during finals week, I'm not going to be a really happy camper. I'm grading all those finals, having to do your averaging and stuff like this. I don't want to have to stop and then grade a paper too. Get it to me before then, please, okay? And there's the carrot, the stick. Here's the carrot. Now, this is written for last summer, so I'll make these corrections later. Let me start at the end of the term. If you turn in this paper the month of December, you get your score. Whatever you score on the paper, that's what you get. If you turn it in the month of November, you get that score plus a bonus point. Turn it in the month of October, you get that score plus 2 bonus points total, okay? Turn it in the month of September, you get your score plus 3 bonus points. And if you happen to get your paper in this month, the month of August, we don't have much month left, but if you do, 4 bonus points added to whatever your paper score is, okay? So please try to get it to me sooner rather than later. And here's one thing I require, I don't think anyone else does. When you submit your paper, please attach a single page from one of your sources. Or if it's that computer link that you did, just that link from your that computer application. That will have to be your page. If it's a YouTube video, how do you do a page from that? Unless you can do a screen capture or something, that would be fine too. But all I need is a link from that. All right. Now, that means, let's say it's something you got from the library. You have to copy you got 3 sources from the library, a journal, a book, and a newspaper article or a magazine article. Do you have to print? No. Pick one. I don't care which one. Take that over to the copier, copy one page, just one, I don't need the whole article, and turn it in with the paper. If it's something you got off the internet, you may have printed the whole thing from the internet so you could use it as a source. But I don't need the whole thing. Just pick a page from that and turn it in with your paper. Okay? Any questions? Okay? If you do have any, please ask anytime. Okay? Try to get me your paper topic. And by the way, one reason I asked for the paper topics, I don't want 10 papers on Isaac Newton. I love Isaac Newton, but I'm getting really tired of reading them. So you get the first one that turns in a paper topic on anything, Stokes, divergence theorem, whatever you're doing, application in your field. Once you choose that title, no one else can use that title. And they turn them in and I say, sorry, we already got one on that. Pick something else. So that's sort of the carrot to get that done a little earlier so you don't wind up duplicating and therefore not being able to write on what you really want to. Any questions? Since this is my last class of the day, I hope. Now, we're not through. Don't go anywhere. I don't have my locator card done because just today, in fact, last period is when I found out, I think, what my final schedule is going to be. So I'll have that done. I'll put that on Blackboard too. The next thing that we need to do, and I'll try to make this as quick as possible. See, we go until 1:55, right? So we got 8 minutes. First, any questions on anything I've talked about? Okay, let's see if I can get this done in 8 minutes. Safety. Okay? There are 3 major areas we need to always have in the back of our mind, and I'm responsible to alert you to what to do so you at least have heard it one time before. Anyone think of what those three areas might be, or any one of the three? Weather. Weather is a really major. Now, this isn't spring term when weather is typically a little bit worse, but guess what? State of Alabama, fall is when weather is changing. Anytime weather is changing, you could have potentially severe weather. So, it's not as bad as spring usually is, but we still can have it. We're still in hurricane season, okay? So we could have that. Off of hurricanes, quite often come tornadoes. So that's the first, is weather. What do we do in case we hear those alarms go off, and it's not the weekly test, but we actually hear a weather alarm? What do we do? What's the general procedure? Okay? Down and in. Down and in. Okay? Basically from here, what we would do, now I know not all this is going to get recorded because I'm too far away from the mic, but you go out of the door here, take an immediate left, go down that half flight of stairs, take another immediate left, go down a full flight of stairs. You are now very close to the lowest level of this building. That's where you want to go, low and interior. So really the best place, one of the best, safest places to be would be in a restroom. Because there the walls are close together. You have lots of corners. Corners are stronger than straight walls. It's just probably not the most ideal place to spend a couple of hours if the weather even lasts that long. You might get a little tired of being in there. Another disadvantage of it is that if we really are in a weather emergency that is going to take a while, there's a really large chance we're going to lose power. And unfortunately, the restrooms are interior, so therefore there's no windows, and with no power, there's no lights. So it's probably not the most ideal place to spend a few hours in total darkness and pressure. Okay? That means no ventilation either. Okay? So if the restroom is at your thing, right under what they call a corridor here is a very small office. That's the dean's office and the associate dean. They have desks in there. And if they're in there and would invite you in, or if you ask to come in and they say it's okay, you can go in there. Again, close walls, interior space. Okay? Actually, it's a little lower than the restroom though. There's actually past the restrooms, there's another couple of steps here, and it's right there. Now, after those two, and by the way, Dean's office doesn't have emergency lighting either, but it does have some windows from the hallway, so might get a little bit of light there. But actually, not a bad thing would be the hallway itself. There, the walls are relatively close together, no 90-degree angles, so that you don't get the strength of that, but you do get the strength of close walls. And the advantage of emergency lighting on either end. So the hallways are not bad. I would stay close to the wall rather than out in the middle of the hallway. Okay? Don't get into a fight over wall space. If that's not your bag or it's really crowded there, that first classroom in there is room 160. Okay, down on that lower level. Interior. Don't go to the exterior. Interior would be 160. Now there you have big open space, but you do have 4 corners at least, and those corners are the strongest areas. You could go in there. No emergency lighting either, but if you keep the door open, you can go to the light. Now you get into the library area. That first room inside the glass doors to the library is the computer room, and that's sort of a small space. So near a corner in that is not a bad. Interior is fine. The next room is that sort of what? Archival, yeah, that's a good name for it. I was going to say research or reference room. Yeah, that type of thing. It's a little bit bigger space, but again, if you get near a corner, not bad. Don't go anywhere else. Anywhere else in the library, you're going to have windows. Windows are not your friends during a weather emergency. Things will get blown around through glass. Lots of broken glass coming in. You don't want to be there. Because guess what? A tornado, which is mostly what we're talking about, is what kind of pressure, high or low? Or is it the same pressure? Low, a very low pressure. meaning that the winds are whipping at great speeds. That's the main thing about a tornado. And if anything, it's going to be sucking stuff off the top. And when that happens, things can blow in a window underneath, okay? So that's where your convection comes in and stuff. So stay away from windows. So low level interior. Do not go outside. Oh, I want to see the funnel. No, you don't, okay? Even if you want to, it's not safe to. Don't go out. Don't try to say, oh, I don't live too far from here, let me get home. No, the worst place you can be just about in a tornado is on a vehicle. They get thrown around like, kids' toys, So, that's weather. 2 minutes. What's the next one? Fire. Okay, and I'm going to include with fire any other kind of things that's happening inside the building. What do you reckon we do then? Okay, you go down and out, not down and in. That's the difference, okay? Now, I've got another couple questions for you. Is that the first thing you do? Get out? No. What's the first thing you do? Especially, let's give you this scenario. Let's say the fire occurs in that mechanical room right next door. A bearing overheats, and the grease catches on fire, and things start smoking. Maybe we get to see some of it come in or smell it. What do? Get out of the building and let everybody else burn to death? No, okay? Somebody tries to find the alarm. Where is the closest fire alarm to us? Not in this portion of the building. This is the old portion, built before that was required in code. You will not find on any of these halls here any fire alarm at all, anywhere. So what you have to do, somebody, and I would say probably 2 people, go out, down, and into, through this corridor here, the newer part. This is now first floor, that's why it doesn't show up here. This is the student services wing. This is where financial services, records office, that was all built since I've been here. That was since we had that in the code. So there are fire alarms there. That's the closest. Somewhere right inside on that wall or one of these walls. Closest fire alarm. 2 people go. Then you come back and exit the building. Okay? Now, what if the fire was spontaneous combustion of that pile of papers on my desk? Okay, someone's doing this, but someone else can do what? This is here in our space. See that? We probably can't get in. It's usually locked. So, but if there's something in this room that bursts into flame, extinguisher. Okay, where is the closest fire extinguisher? I mean, I'm within 5 feet of it, right there. Right there is the closest extinguisher. Okay, so somebody goes and does that. Someone goes down and pulls an alarm, and the rest of us proceed quickly out. Oh, and I forgot to say this. Back on the weather or the fire emergency. What if, now all of you look like you're really good able-bodied people now, but what if some of you have a skiing accident or something else and you break a leg or something like that? Then I'm going to be trying to help you get down the stairs. There aren't any elevators in this building. And besides, you wouldn't go into an elevator if you could, because the power may go out when you're in between floors. So in that case, I might ask one of you other able-bodied people to help me get that person safely out of here. So that would be a big concern of mine, and probably have to have some help with that. Okay, and that would go for chemical spills or odors and things. You go down and out. And you get approximately, I think they say, 75 feet from the building, straight out from the building. Why? Because if there is a fire and then an explosion, glass is going to go that way. You don't want to be close enough to the building to get there. All right. When we meet on Wednesday, we will start with, if I have the locator card done, I'll do that first, and then we'll do our last safety issue. Does anyone know what that might be? Active shooter. Never even used to think about this. Now we have to. So, We'll talk about that next time too. Any questions on anything we've done? And we'll actually get to do some calculus next time, I promise. Matthew's really upset with me that we didn't get any done today. All right. Good deal, folks. I'm going to eat lunch. Goodness gracious, I'm tired and hungry.